society, such as the plumbers, the goldsmiths, the architects, the shoemakers. Secret societies were not left entirely to abstract speculation. Men had a certain pride in their own achievements and a certain sense of responsibility for the quality of their work. In those days, this responsibility was invested in guilds, and guilds were an outcome of classical secret societies. It was the guild that instructed the individual and gave him the choices, secrets of his profession or trade, and bound him with obligations to use this knowledge constructively and indeed honorably. It was therefore a more signal offense against society to tarnish the workmanship using substandard materials. Or in any way to misrepresent a contract. The God concept still occupied the mind of the guildmasters. Each meeting of the tailors and the plumbers and the shoemakers and the goldsmiths were for the most part a religious ceremony. This meeting was closed with prayer, and then the period of these meetings were matters of common concern, of charity, of taking care of the needy or impoverished brethren. Whenever these matters were examined, it was in a sanctified atmosphere of dedication. And to each of these guilds, deity represented a peculiar guild master. In other words, of all the shoemakers, God was the great shoemaker. Of all the plumbers, God was the great plumber. Of all architects, He was the sovereign architect of the world. Of all the physicians, He is the master of healing. Each, in his own way, therefore, developed a new faith. A faith based upon performing his normal human activity. He takes his profession as a sacred service, as a dedicated recognition of his responsibility to society. And whatever he did that was useful and helpful to others was a form of religious sacrament. The development, therefore, of great projects with comparative smoothness of procedure marked that kind. Therefore, Therefore, when great mausoleums and temples and palaces and schools requiring from 50 to 500 years, like that of the Westminster Abbey in London, requiring from 50 years to 500 years for their completion, they were proceeded in an orderly manner. It was hardly necessary to inspect the work. The masters of the guild inspected the work themselves and were more critical than any outsider could possibly have been. Also, they regulated the wages of the workmen. They held the various religious meetings that were necessary. And from these we observe inevitably the rise of a religious spirit. A spirit not directly consistent with the general prevailing orthodoxies of those days. A religion which moved directly into action. A religion which was not drowned in theory, but was constantly vitalized by practice. Thus, religion itself has these certain modifications. The guild masters did not leave their faith. They often met in the chapels, the temples, and cathedrals of their religion. But at the same time, they brought to their religion something previously not so well emphasized. And that was the importance of applying their faith and its principles to the works of their hands, so that each task was performed, or indeed each task that was performed was sanctified by the integrity with which it was performed.